Please let me pay tomorrow." Her voice cracked through the crowded supermarket as trembling fingers dropped the last few coins onto the counter, eyes filled with raw desperation. The cashier stared coldly, unmoved, while people behind her sighed loudly, some even laughing as phones lifted, recording her humiliation like it was just another viral moment. Before we dive in, let us know in the comments, what time is it and where are you watching from? Let's start. Her hand shook harder as she tried to gather the scattered coins, clutching the small milk bottle tightly like it was the only thing keeping her from completely breaking down. "Rules are rules," the cashier said firmly, pushing the milk back, while whispers spread fast, turning her pain into entertainment for strangers who didn't care. Right behind her, a sharply dressed man in a dark suit stood silently, watching every second with an intense gaze, as if this moment meant something deeper to him. She lowered her head, shame burning across her face, but she didn't leave, as if walking away meant losing something far more important than just food. A man in the crowd mocked her softly, and someone zoomed in their camera, but the suited man didn't react, his eyes locked only on her, studying every move. She finally picked up the last coin, her fingers pausing mid-air as if hoping someone would stop this nightmare. But no one stepped forward to help her. But what no one realized was that the man watching her wasn't a stranger at all, and this moment was only the beginning of a truth far more shocking. She sat alone on a broken park bench, gripping the milk bottle tightly against her chest like it was something priceless, her eyes scanning around as if hiding a secret from the world. Her stomach growled softly, but she ignored it, opening the bottle slowly, her lips trembling, not with hunger, but with a painful decision she had already made inside. Just as she lifted it, a weak whimper stopped her, and her eyes shifted toward a small, injured stray dog lying near the bench, barely able to move. Without hesitation, she rushed toward it, kneeling on the cold ground, her hand shaking as she gently lifted its head, her own hunger completely forgotten in that moment. Carefully, she tilted the bottle and let the milk drip slowly into the dog's mouth, whispering softly, "It's okay. You'll be fine. Just hold on a little longer." People passed by, some glancing, most ignoring, while she sat there feeding the dog, sacrificing the only thing she had fought so hard to keep just minutes ago. Across the street, the same suited man stood near a parked car, watching silently again, his expression unreadable, as if he was measuring something deeper than just her actions. The dog slowly gained strength, licking her hand weakly, and for a moment she smiled, but it was a smile hiding a storm of pain and emptiness inside her. Moments later, she stood up and walked toward the busy road, dizzy and weak, and as she stepped forward, a speeding car suddenly honked loudly, almost hitting her. People shouted in shock, but she didn't react, and from a distance, the man tightened his grip slightly, because now it was clear she wasn't buying that milk for herself at all. She slipped into a narrow, dim alley, her steps unsteady, breathing heavy, as if the weight of everything she was hiding was finally catching up to her fragile body. Her hands trembled as she pulled out an old phone, the screen cracked, fingers hesitating before dialing, her eyes filled with fear and urgency at the same time. "Please, just wait a little longer. I'm coming. I promise," she whispered into the phone, her voice breaking, as if speaking to someone who meant everything to her. A weak voice replied from the other side, barely audible, making her freeze for a moment, her eyes closing as silent tears rolled down her cheeks without control. "I'll bring something. Don't worry. Just don't sleep yet," she said quickly, forcing strength into her tone, hiding the truth she didn't want them to feel. The call ended, and she stood there frozen, staring at nothing, her chest rising and falling rapidly, as if guilt and helplessness were crushing her from inside. Suddenly, faint footsteps echoed behind her, slow and deliberate, making her heart race instantly as she turned around in fear, expecting someone standing there. But the alley was empty, completely silent. No one there, only the sound of distant traffic and her own shaky breathing filling the space around her. Far at the entrance, hidden in shadows, the same suited man watched again, his eyes sharp, following every move, every word, every emotion she tried to hide. And as she wiped her tears and stepped forward again, she had no idea that someone already knew exactly who she was talking to and why she was lying. The city bus screeched to a halt, and she rushed inside, barely holding onto the rail as people pushed from every side, her fragile body struggling to stay upright in the chaos. Sweat and noise filled the air, strangers arguing, phones ringing, and she stood squeezed in a corner, clutching her small purse like it carried her entire world inside. Her eyes stayed low, avoiding everyone, but her mind raced, thinking only about reaching on time because someone out there was waiting and couldn't wait much longer. Suddenly, a rough hand brushed past her, quick and unnoticed, and within seconds, her purse was gone, disappearing into the crowd before she could even react. She froze, then panicked, searching around helplessly, her breath turning sharp as she realized everything she had, the little she owned, was just taken away. "Please, my purse," she whispered, but no one listened, no one cared, as the bus kept moving, carrying her deeper into helplessness with every passing second. Just a few feet away, the suited man stood silently again, his eyes locked on the thief, clearly noticing everything. Yet he didn't move, didn't stop him at all. His calm face showed no emotion, no urgency, as if he was allowing this to happen on purpose, like this wasn't cruelty, but some kind of silent test. She held onto the pole tightly, her strength fading, eyes filling again, but still she didn't break completely, as if something bigger was forcing her to keep going. And as the thief jumped off at the next stop and vanished, the man simply watched, because the real question wasn't what she lost, but what she would do next. She pushed open a broken wooden door, stepping into a dim, fragile house where silence felt heavy, like every wall was holding on to pain that refused to leave. Inside, on an old bed, a weak, elderly woman lay struggling to breathe, her eyes slowly opening the moment she heard the door, searching with quiet hope. The homeless woman rushed to her side, forcing a gentle smile, hiding everything she had just lost, as if her own suffering didn't matter anymore at all. "See, I brought something for you," she whispered softly, lifting the milk bottle with shaking hands, even though she hadn't taken a single sip herself. She helped the old woman sit up, carefully bringing the bottle to her lips, watching closely, as if every drop meant survival, not just comfort. The old woman drank slowly, then looked at her with tired eyes and said, You didn't eat again, did you?" Her voice filled with concern and quiet pain. She smiled again, but this time it hurt more, because it was a lie she had repeated too many times, sacrificing herself again and again without a second thought. Outside the cracked window, hidden in the fading light, the same suited man stood still, watching this moment unfold, his expression finally shifting slightly. For the first time, something in his eyes softened. But he still didn't step inside, as if he needed to see more before making his final move. And as she sat beside the old woman, holding her hand tightly, she didn't know. The man outside already knew her past, and this was only part of his test. Dark clouds burst open, and heavy rain poured down as she ran through the empty street, her clothes soaked, her breath uneven, holding on to hope that was slipping away fast. Her eyes searched every shop, every corner, but she had nothing left to offer. No money, no strength. Yet she kept moving, like stopping would cost someone their life. She reached a pharmacy window, knocking weakly. "Please, I'll pay tomorrow," her voice almost lost in the sound of rain crashing against the ground. The man inside shook his head firmly, closing the window slowly, leaving her standing there, drenched and shaking, rejected once again by a world that showed no mercy. Her eyes barely opened as she whispered weakly, "Why, are you helping me?" Her voice fragile, filled with fear and disbelief at the same time. He didn't answer, just looked at her silently, because the truth behind his actions was far deeper, and she was about to face it very soon. Inside the luxury car, silence felt heavier than the storm outside as she sat soaked and weak, her eyes filled with fear, unsure whether she was safe or stepping into something unknown. The heater hummed softly, drying her trembling hands, but her heartbeat refused to slow down, every second stretching longer as the man beside her kept driving without saying a word. The city lights passed across his face, revealing a faint, almost hidden smile, not of kindness, but of recognition, as if he had finally found what he was searching for. "I've been watching you," he said quietly at last, his voice calm but carrying a weight that instantly sent a chill down her spine. Her eyes widened, confusion turning into fear, her mind racing through every moment of the day, trying to understand how deep this situation really was. And just as she was about to ask more, he turned the car toward a bright building ahead, because the next place would reveal something she wasn't ready to hear. Bright hospital lights burned her eyes as they rushed inside, her wet clothes clinging to her skin, while nurses quickly took the old woman on a stretcher toward the emergency room. She followed helplessly, her steps weak but desperate, whispering prayers under her breath, knowing she had nothing left to give, except hope that felt like it was fading. At the billing counter, her worst fear returned, the amount displayed far beyond anything she could imagine, her hands slowly curling as reality crushed her again. Her eyes filled with shock, confusion, and something deeper as she stepped closer and whispered, "Who are you? And why are you doing all this for me?" He took a slow breath, his eyes finally softening. "Years ago, when I had nothing, someone gave me food and said the same words you just did." Her heart stopped for a second as flashes hit her mind. A younger version of herself, helping a hungry boy on a rainy night, a memory she had almost forgotten. Tears rolled down her face as the truth shattered every doubt, her sacrifice, her pain. It was all seen, all remembered, and now it was finally coming back to her. She covered her mouth, unable to speak, as years of struggle collapsed into one overwhelming moment, where pain turned into something she never expected, hope. Through the glass, the old woman was being treated, machines beeping steadily, and for the first time it felt like maybe she would survive this night. He stepped beside her, no longer just an observer, but someone connected to her story, someone who had returned not by accident, but by purpose. The story ends here, but the mystery lives on. Like, subscribe, and return for the next unforgettable journey.